Hello and welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig right here in Starshot Studio in Times Square. Do you know what this week is? It is New York Fashion Week, and we are beyond excited to have Lauren Ezersky, who was the former host of the most amazing show called Behind the Velvet Ropes, which I was obsessed.
It was a fun show, I have to say.
I couldn't get enough of it.
You know what? It was the first reality show.
It really was.
Because I'd be in a taxi going somewhere and interviewing the cab driver.
Yeah.
Going up into the building, talking to the elevator man, like, hey, what's going on today? So really, it was
and it was
reality.
So real.
It was
fun.
fun.
And you were really interviewing all the people that we really wanted to know about, all of the best designers. You were just with Dolce & Gabbana, right?
No, Badgley Mischka.
Right.
Badgley Mischka. I
See,
just saw their show.
This is why I'm a string. I can't get them right.
I love Badgley Mischka. They are just as nice as ever. I mean, I've known them for over 2 decades, maybe going even on 3. I can't even remember when I met them. It's been so long. And they're just as nice now as they were in the beginning.
Now, you got your start on Oprah, right?
Well, that was one of the first, TV appearances. I was on as a shopaholic.
I love that.
A shopaholic. And I was on with my first husband, and because he would spend money to go to a party, like fly anywhere, to go anywhere, to do anything.
Was he wealthy? Did he have a lot of money to do that?
No, he just was fun. You know, we'll just pay for it tomorrow.
Wow.
I know, he was that kind of guy. And I was, I'm like a shopper. I like to buy things.
Hey, listen, preaching to the choir.
So that's how I got on that show. And
now, were you in television at that point or
no?
Okay.
No, I wasn't. It was just my first appearance. And, I was kind of shy a little bit. But she was really welcoming and open, and it was really fun. And then someone had seen me on that show and said, would I be a guest on their show, Behind the Velvet Ropes? And I said, of course. So I just went on as a guest, just to interview me and chit-chat. And the night that I went on, the girl that was supposed to do fashion, had a hissy fit or something. I don't know. She left, and they asked me if I would want to do fashion, and I said, "Duh, yeah."
You know
sure.
what's so incredible, and I did not realize this until I was doing a little research for our segment, is that the show you did was not just about fashion. It was about music and was it pop culture as well?
The original show, I did fashion.
Okay.
There was somebody else who did movies and directors, and then there's another guy, Eric, who did music. So all the bands. So it was 3 different entertainment genres, basically, that we covered.
Did you love
really
it?
Fun. I did.
Right away?
Yes, because it was just so fun, and there wasn't so many people, so many other media outlets. There was no vloggers and anything like that. So we had pretty great access to a lot of people. I mean, my first interview ever was Francesco Scavullo, who did all the Cosmo covers back in the day. Cosmopolitan covers.
Yeah. I love how honest you are and open about how, listen, it was a process for you. You really felt like the first question you asked this photographer.
I was awful. I mean, I was sitting like you, but a mile away. I was like a mile away, and I'm like, do you like your job? I remember that was my first question. I mean, wow, how stupid is that? Of course you like your job. He likes his job. But
well, not necessarily. There are a lot of people that don't like their jobs, but he probably liked his job. Yeah.
He was great. And, I guess they knew that it was, my first time doing television. It was probably one of his first times also. So there wasn't that many media coverage of photographers back in the day. They weren't as stars, celebrities, or whatever you want to call them, as they are now.
This was back in the 80s. It was
late 80s, early 90s.
Cable access.
Yes, it started as cable access. That's right.
And did you need training for that? Because I know for some cable shows,
we just did it.
Did it cost money at that point?
It did cost some money, but the producer was one of the hosts, and he just foot the bill. But it was very little because you just you have a camera, you buy some videotape, and you just go out and shoot, which is what people do now. They have their cell phone, you just shoot stuff.
And this was really before, let's take people back. This was before social media.
Well, there was no social media. There was no
exist.
Influencers. There was no vloggers.
No bloggers either.
There wasn't that much fashion coverage. There was Elsa Clench on Style.
That's right.
Saw with Elsa Clench.
I had an experience with her. I swear to God, this is a true story.
With Elsa?
I did. She doesn't remember it. She doesn't even know who I am. I was wearing a pair of sweats that I really love because they made me look skinny. And I must have looked really bad on the street. And there was Elsa Clinch, and she looked me up and down like I had committed a crime
Ooh,
in front of her.
Did she say anything to you?
No, but if looks can kill, that's how she looked at me. And I was like, all right, you go. You go. And I enjoyed watching her, but she was more formal.
She was very formal, like, are pants important this season?
Right.
You know, I was just really
What political
fun.
statement do sweaters make?
I know. I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Which I think was a more interesting way to look at fashion and not take it so seriously, because it's not. You know.
How did you get access to so many important people?
Well, I guess I was just in the business, and I dressed in, you know, I was fashionable. I loved clothes, and I don't know, I just met a lot of people, and everyone's like, sure, yeah, we'll do it. And you just call them up, you know, hey, Cynthia Rowley, I'm going to come up. Hey, Jill Stewart, I'm going to come up. Hey, Marc Jacobs, I'm going to come up. And you just went up, and they were there, and you just chit-chatted with them, and it was pretty minimal, pretty easy.
Did you ever interview a designer that was snobby or difficult, or were you left like?
No, I did not. Everyone I've ever interviewed, I have to say, was really courteous and really sweet, really forthright, and really interesting, because all the designers do the same thing, basically. You know, you have to design for a woman or a man with 2 legs and 2 arms, but you have to make it interesting and stylish as well as saleable. And that's really hard, I think. So, no, they were all great. You know, they know what they do. They love what they do. Everyone I spoke to really had a passion for what they did. And you go to all the different offices, and everyone had like, some offices were immaculately like clean. Everything was neat. Other offices, the designer had stuff like on the walls and whatever on the floor. It was really interesting to see different workspaces and how their mind processes worked.
Did it give you insight into their collection or how they created their movable art?
I just think that most designers look at everything, from the cups that you drink out of to you walking on the street, seeing a pedestrian, what they're wearing. I think they're very creative people, and they just take everything in their head like a sponge, and then they just kind of put it together and show it their way, what they want to show.
At one point, you must have realized you were onto something really great, that you were creating a name for yourself, that the show was taking off.
You know what? We didn't really think. We just had a good time.
Really?
We really weren't thinking about like where we're going to go next. Today, you know, it's more plotting and what are we going to do? I mean, I met a girl the other day that actually gets dressed up wildly and goes and stands in front of the houses where the shows are just to get her picture taken. That's it. So she just dresses for the photographers. We never did that. We would dress for ourselves, go in, see the show, and that was the whole process. This girl just goes to get her picture taken. And it's a whole nother world. It's a millennial world, and that's okay for them, I guess. It works for them.
It's almost like creating a faux reality. You were actually, and you described this, your approach was very much like TMZ.
Yeah, you know what?
It was uncut.
Yeah.
It was raw.
Like, exactly. Like, we didn't really think about, okay, we didn't plot and plan like, okay, we're going to do this and then we're going to do that to get here. We didn't. But the kids today do think of that. I think there's an end goal.
At one point, your show went national and international.
Well,
it started local. So tell me about the evolution.
It started local, and then we did it for about 5 years with the two. I did it with the 2 other people, with the movies and the music. And then nobody was making any money, and everybody's just like moved on to other things. And I still really love doing it. And I said, you know, I'm going to go get a sponsor. And I did. I went out and I got Moet and Chandon as a sponsor.
How ahead of your time? I mean, really.
And they were great. Moet and Chandon was really fabulous. Like, all they wanted me to do at the end of the show was just toast to the show. I mean, they were great. And then I had MAC Cosmetics, was really great. So my sponsors really believed in me, and they believed in the show, and they didn't bang you on the head with their ads.
I just want to tell our audience how ahead of your time you were in that regard, because I really wanted TV at that point, but it was psychology TV, and I went more the traditional reporting route. And really the idea was, at the time, someone needs to choose us. You need to be chosen to be part of a news program, or someone has to want you.
Back in the day, yes.
Back in the day, it was like, oh, I have to make a reel, and someone has to want me or not want me. That happened a lot. A lot of people did want me. But you just did it the right way. You actually did it the way everybody's doing it now. Do it and then find a sponsor to support you. That was not done. No one was doing that. How did you come up with that idea? Because your background was not TV.
No, my background was, well, it was fashion. My background was fashion, but it wasn't really television. I don't know, you just fall into things. And I remember I heard the head of Estee Lauder was talking to Francois Nars. John Dempsey, and he was just saying to Francois, okay, call me this week and we can arrange something and we'll be a sponsor of yours. And I marched up to him and I said, wait a minute, if you're going to sponsor Francois, you need to sponsor Behind the Velvet Ropes. I want some money. And he's like, call me Monday. And I did, and they became a sponsor. That's
Do you think it was easier to get money back then, or is it always hard to get money from people?
I think it's always hard to get money, but I think it's almost harder now because you have more media outlets.
Yeah.
You've got the internet, obviously television, you've got radio, you've just got 100 million different ways to look at things. And now you're doing this on Facebook. And so I think that there's a lot out there, but they do need content.
Right.
Content is needed. You always have to have, interesting people with new information coming out. So that's the good part. The bad part is there's so many more people vying for those dollars, those ad dollars, and there's only so many.
Right. And also a lot of these companies can just fund it themselves. But I think when you're smart, where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, I think it's a lot of partnering now. People are partnering. Because I remember I went up to someone in real estate and they had this really amazing listing, and it was like this $1 million or $2 million listing, which back in the day was a lot, like 20 years ago. And I said, ooh, I want to do a segment. Like, can you show me this house, this apartment, whatever, and be one of my sponsors? And they were like, oh, no, nobody really wants to see that. Now, hello.
Yeah.
They're featuring real estate.
You're like a visionary.
I was. And too bad I didn't get any money for that. I should be like getting some coin for that, some shekels.
You have really interesting footage of you and Alexander McQueen.
I have Alexander McQueen and myself in bed ordering breakfast. He eats breakfast. I have Manolo Blahnik putting on a woman's shoe because I was saying how uncomfortable they are, and he disagreed. I was like, just go put one on. He's like, well, okay. And he did. And he's like plomping around in one. So I have a lot of interesting footage that I don't think other journalists have, I guess. Because I just did it in a really fun, intimate, and entertaining way.
Did you sense that Alexander was depressed or suicidal in any way? Did you get that vibe at all?
No, this was way before anything happened. I just think talented, creative people have sometimes an underside of whatever melancholy that they don't really tell people. Even, lesson on the Grammys, Lady Gaga, I don't know if you heard that, but she made a speech saying that how she was proud to be in a movie where mental health is addressed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't address that.
Right.
And it was kind of a stigma. You would know about that.
No, there's a lot of shame. And of course, we're getting better at talking about it, especially in the city.
But I think a lot of people have a dark side.
Yes. We all have a dark side.
Yeah, and it's not easy. Life is not easy. No matter who you are, how successful you are, how financially wealthy you are, it really doesn't mean anything unless you have something inside you that makes you happy or that you know how to make yourself happy.
Right. That's exactly it.
You need family, you need friends, you need support system.
I really think that's one of the reasons why you are and were so successful on the show is because you were just having a good time. You didn't have any airs. You were just curious. You were like us, but very positive.
Yes, I think I always was positive because even if there was a designer that I interviewed that I might not have liked their collection that particular season, I know there's always someone who will like a few pieces in it. So, I mean, everybody's different, and that's what makes the world go round. That's what's so great about fashion. some people like one designer, some people like another designer, but it's all good. You
It's
can
so
choose.
funny. I was at Dennis Basso's show today, and it was really beautiful. And I was complimented. I was behind the scenes, and I was complimented when this woman said, "Oh, are you a dermatologist?" And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. It must mean that I have good skin." And then I thought about it after my daughter said, "Why are you wearing so much pink?" And I was like, it must mean that I was not so fashionable, or just wasn't getting something right. It can be a snobby world.
It could be a really mean-spirited and snobby
Yeah.
world. And, people are trying to be more spiritual these days, which I think is great. But I think really the number one thing is just kindness. Just be nice to someone.
Be nice.
You're passing someone on the street, give a smile.
Right.
And you know what?
Not like Elsa Clench.
90% of the time, I think you'll get a smile back.
I agree.
Somebody's leaving. Our hair and makeup girl is leaving.
She's not leaving. She won't leave. No.
Oh,
No.
She packed up all her stuff. So I guess we look good. We don't need any more makeup. We don't need any more makeup. Okay.
I've been dying to ask you this because I saw on your website, which is beautiful, by the way, that you interviewed John Galliano. And this was before he had his anti-Semitic rant. And I was just wondering, did you call him afterwards? Did you have any thoughts about it?
I really like John, and I don't know really what he was thinking, but everybody deserves a second chance. And I think, that he was really kind of being provoked in a way. Not that there's any excuse.
We just have some gorgeous pictures of you in the back, by the way. We're going to talk about your additional work.
Love him.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, everybody says things, everybody does things, and people make mistakes, and I just don't think it's the end of the world.
It's not, but when it's documented, it's so hurtful. Well, people have a hard time getting over it.
I think that he was provoked, because I saw clips of that, and I think they just kind of really provoked him also. Not that, like I said, that there was no excuse to say what he said.
I think you should interview him again.
Well, I would love to. I don't know. He's working for, I think, Martin, oh my God, what's his name? Margiela. I think he's designing for Martin Margiela.
I think he should talk to you. I think you'd be the perfect person to help.
Well, I just need a platform. I need a platform to interview
him.
Well,
do it here.
If he comes to New York, we'll see.
Yeah. In addition to being on television, you also are a journalist.
I consider myself a journalist still.
And a model.
Sometimes.
No, you were just in the New York Post.
Yeah, well, someone has to hire me for that. You know how you can't just go voguing and modeling by yourself in the street.
Well, listen, it was
never a little weird.
It was never in the stars for me. At 5 feet tall, that was never going to happen. How did you get discovered?
I've just been around for a really long time. Don't tell anybody. I've just been around, and I guess people know who I am. And if they're looking for someone that has my look, I guess that I'd be right for, they think of me.
Well, you are forever hip. There's just something ageless and just so cool about you. And I'm sure I'm not the first person who has said this, but what I particularly love about your approach is you are great about aging, and you loved when you saw your first gray hairs and really embraced it. You just have a wonderful attitude.
Well, since the alternative is not good, if you don't age, you die.
That's right.
So I would rather just grow old gracefully and, keep myself looking as good as I possibly can. I don't think there's anything wrong with, plastic surgery or Botox or whatever, but just keeping it real.
Me neither.
Yeah, just keeping it real. Why not?
But what do you think helped you get to that place? Because there are a lot of people in fashion, you know them, they go to an extreme and they end up looking fake, and you're not fooling anyone. As you said, you're not going to, once you hit a certain age, you're not going to look 20, nor should you.
I would rather look a good 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 or good than look like ageless, but like scary, like a mask. So, I mean, I think eventually you do have to age. I mean, you will. There's no getting away from it. So you might as well just go with it and enjoy yourself. And there's a lot of fabulous women out there. Iris Apfel, oh my God, she's like 90 or something.
She's like 97 and just
she's got a whole new career.
Right.
So, you just go with the flow. Just
and it's interesting. Iris never considered herself a great beauty. She just loved what she did.
Because she's just really a fashionable person. Yeah. She loves the way she dresses. She's unique. She's individual. And that's what I think everybody should strive for. You don't want to be like everybody else.
I agree. And I have to say, well, I wrote a book about it, so I'm particularly aware of the myths that happen when it comes to midlife and beyond. And really, don't you feel better at this stage of your life, more confident?
No, I've always felt
no,
I've
no.
always felt confidence, but I wouldn't mind being 20 years younger. I mean, hey, who wouldn't? But no, I mean, I'm confident. But no, I mean, I don't like getting older, but you do.
Because
I'm gonna
yeah.
get there, hopefully. And so I'm just making the best. I'm gonna travel. I'm still dating. As a matter of fact, I'm just doing I just did the show on
Oh my God,
Netflix.
that's right. That
It's
was one
called
of the reasons why we wanted to
Dating
do it.
Dating
Oh,
around.
tell us about Netflix and
Well, I
when
don't know.
people can
I
find
really
you.
don't even know anything about it. They just called me. They said, "Do I want to do it?" You met with them. They said, "Okay, we're going to fix you up with this guy." They don't
Oh,
tell you who it is.
uh-huh.
They don't tell you who he is, what he looks like. They tell you absolutely nothing until the absolute second that you meet him.
Oh,
So I just met this guy, and we had a fun time.
yeah.
I don't think like there's a love connection, but he had 4 other women to go out with. I think he got 5 dates.
Okay.
So I was one of his 5 dates.
Uh-huh. So it was a little bit like The Bachelor,
So yeah,
but on Netflix.
but it is really reality, because they don't talk to you. You're on the date,
Yeah.
and you don't stop. You just eat. You order food. Like you're there with him, and then when it's over, and that's it.
How did they pick this guy for you?
You got me, girl.
Okay.
I have
Was
no
he
idea.
anything close? Do you have a type? Just
Kind
asking.
of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
What's your type?
Tall, dark and handsome.
Yeah.
I don't know. Breathing, breathing and mobile these days. What can I say? They have to be able to walk and talk. I don't know, someone with a good personality.
Uh-huh.
That's really important. The most important thing to me is someone that I want to laugh with and having a good time with.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, the rest will come. But I think personality is really important, and a sense of humor.
Okay.
That you got to have a sense of humor.
Do you like the artistic type, or do you like more the business
I like
type?
business or whatever. Like I have no preference.
Now, at one point, there was a rumor that you were married to a Japanese tycoon.
Where did these
I don't
get
know.
that? I was married. My first husband, Jordan, was really into Japan. He lived in Japan, and I moved there with him for a couple of months, and it didn't work out for me to really be there. But he's not. He was American. So I don't know where. No, he was. Someone said, "Oh, he's from the Yakuza." So like, where did they get this stuff? I mean, I've heard these crazy rumors, but you know what? Yeah, they're all true, everybody. So
well, it's kind of a nice idea.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't know. People have this crazy idea. They just make stuff up, and it's fine with me.
But the truth of the matter is, you're a real hard worker and a go-getter.
Well, when I have to be,
yeah,
I am.
Yeah. I mean, you worked really hard to get your job for paper, right?
I did. I had a column for about 8 years with Paper Magazine called Lunch with Lauren.
What takes up most of your time now?
No, I'm kind of semi-retired, as I said. I'm
that's nice.
Travel.
Do you have time to be my friend?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can always use more girlfriends. No, I'm traveling. I just came back. I was in Morocco.
Oh, nice.
And Spain, London, Madrid. And I'm now going to be going to visit some girlfriends in St. Louis and Tucson. And then I'm thinking about maybe going to India or something. I don't know. I'm just going. I'm going.
Great. Do you document it? Like, do you tape your travels?
No, I just take pictures. And you know what? I bought this really expensive camera, and I went to Africa and I took all these pictures, and I never even look at them anymore.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to go and be there in the present.
Be in the moment.
I have my little, camera, whatever, on my phone, and that's just good enough for me.
Hey, listen, I mean, if I could be like that, I would consider myself successful. Semi-retired and just traveling, that to me sounds like a dream.
It's fun.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah. We do something called the Quick Five. Okay. So we give people some insight into who you are, and once I find it, I'm going to ask you.
You're going to try
to
stump me, Robbie?
No, we're a nice show here.
Okay, good. Stump Lauren.
Yeah, Stump Lauren. That would be a great segment, right? As a child, what did you want to become when you grew up?
Okay, this is going to sound really weird, but a lawyer. A lawyer.
Do you think anyone would ever guess that?
I don't think anyone would guess that.
No. Did your parents like that idea?
I really don't think I ever really discussed it with them.
Oh, no?
I didn't.
You just described them as pretty. Were they in the business at all?
No. They were attractive, but they were, as far as I was concerned, kind of a mismatched crazy couple. But whatever they had worked for them.
Yeah.
So I thought being a lawyer, because I always believed in right and wrong, black and white. You see my nails?
Yeah.
But the world isn't black
Look
and
at Lauren's
white.
jewelry.
It's gray. The world is
Yes,
gray.
yes.
And which you, of all people, should know that.
But I can relate. I mean, this is just, somebody asked me the other day if you weren't a therapist, because I'm basically doing what I want to do. Like, it's a combination of things. But I kind of love the idea of being a defense attorney, because it's so creative. You have to think of like an alternative idea that can get a jury to rethink your client.
The problem is you really have to think of your client as innocent.
Yes, that's true.
And that would
That's
be,
true.
you know, you really, that to me is the most important thing.
That's
and
half the
if you don't
battle.
believe that, then you wouldn't be a good
And
attorney.
the other piece, that a lot of lawyers don't like their job. I know very few.
They do like their job?
Don't.
They don't like their job? Then why would they go into it? It takes a lot of learning.
I think it was the fantasy, or parents wanting them to. Or
too much television. They're watching too much TV.
Exactly.
Law and Order and
That's
all that.
That's right. Yeah. If you could time travel, when would you go to?
Definitely Hollywood in the golden age. Because I love the fashion then.
Yeah.
I love the movies back in the day with Joan Crawford and, you know, Betty Davis and Barbara Stanwyck and, you know, Hedy Lamarr and all those fabulous women and men. Clark Gable, Vivian Leigh. Yeah, that I would
That's
definitely.
a beautiful time in
the
Hollywood.
40s.
And the lighting was really good as well.
It was.
Which is all about
Curel
lighting.
and all these amazing photographers.
Yes. If you could shop for free at one store, which one would you choose?
Well, that's kind of a no-brainer. Bergdorf Goodman. Hello.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Bergdorf
That's a good one.
Unless if you like food, I guess it could be Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're
going for. Well, I am always hungry. But I'm trying to eat less rather than more. Are you naturally thin?
Yeah, but I think about it. Okay. You know, I can tend to go 5 pounds over. I love sweets. I love chocolate. As a matter of fact, before I came here, I went to Maison du Chocolat, whatever.
Oh, yeah, sure. And Madison? Or?
No, the one right here. There's one on 49th Street.
Oh, okay.
And it's so expensive. A little tiny candy is like $4 for one little thing like this big.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. But you know what? I just had to have it.
Yeah, sometimes, you know.
So yes, I do like my sweets.
Okay. All right. Well, you're lucky. It doesn't show on you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Who would play you in a movie of your life?
Oh, wow. That I don't know.
You have such a unique look. I don't even know anyone that looks like you.
Well, people always say that I look like Lady Gaga. And I used to look like Cher when I was younger in the day with the long hair.
I think you're prettier.
Oh, Cher is, thank you. I love Cher. She's fabulous.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I guess I would have loved Cher.
Yeah.
But now I guess Lady Gaga.
Oh, she'd be a good one.
No.
Yeah.
I think she's so talented.
She's very talented.
I'm such a fan of hers. I just think that she does it all. She plays all the instruments. She writes her own music. Yeah. Her voice is amazing. You know, there's a lot of other singers that don't write anything, but she does it all.
And
she's
smart.
Amazing.
It's smart to write your own songs.
She's an amazing woman.
Did you ever meet Madonna?
I never did.
Oh, okay.
We're like 6 degrees of separation, but I never did. No, I have not.
What accomplishment are you most proud of?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Well, people are still interested in you, and your career is long and successful.
Well, thank you. I mean, just being here is, you know, a compliment that somebody wants to interview me.
Oh my God.
You know, because I haven't really done that much in a while. I mean, I'm doing little things here or there, but nothing like major. And I'm still fascinated that people are intrigued. Yeah. And somebody, you know, it's really interesting that you mentioned this, because someone today was like, "Oh, I loved your show on Behind the Velvet," and they knew it. And I was just like, well, you were like 10 years old or something when it was on, you know? So I guess it did have an impact. And I guess, you know, I'm proud of that.
Well, you're so you. It's like you own your whole self. You don't try to be anything other than who you are. And that is tremendously appealing, because not everybody can own that space.
Well, I guess I'm ahead of my time, because I think now the message is to do that, with Lady Gaga telling you to be yourself and accept yourself. And it wasn't that way when I was growing up. You know, everybody looked the same. Like everybody was like very Christy Brinkley, you know, blonde, pretty, whatever. And so I never really could identify with any models or whatever that looked like me, because nobody that was considered attractive had dark hair and, you know, my features. So I think today it's a better time to be younger and be yourself.
Absolutely. Do you have siblings too?
I do not.
No. Okay. An
I do
only child.
not.
Where can people find you?
Instagram. I'm on
Okay.
Instagram. I post a lot of stuff every day.
I love your posts.
Facebook, Twitter, and I
Okay.
actually put a bunch of shows up on YouTube. If they look under Lorna Ezersky or Behind the Velvet Ropes, I
Okay.
think I put about 60 old episodes up.
I love it.
So
I was
you got to
watching some
search
of
for
them.
them. No,
Yeah.
you gotta
And you
search.
know what? It's really worth checking it out because you'll see how timeless they are and how ahead and how talented you are
Oh, thank
too,
you,
Lauren.
Robbie.
So anyway, I just want to thank you for visiting
You're
us at New York
welcome.
Fashion Week. And I think everybody should follow you. So we'll make sure that they have your information.
Great, thank
And thank
you.
you for joining us on Talking Live. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. We're off for President's Day, but then we'll be back. See you then.